All right, welcome back. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. A big win in the U.S. Open Cup. That's that tournament that involves MSL, USL. Pittsburgh went to Gillette Stadium tonight and beat one of the top MSL teams. That's a significant accomplishment. And they advanced to the round of 16, 1-0. The final score, Danny Griffin with the only goal. Pittsburgh comes home. The Riverhounds against a formidable team on Saturday night at Highmark Stadium. Andrew, you need to get over there. It's a pretty fun time, and they're playing very well, and they have a chance to do something special. They've been in the playoffs 5 straight years. It's time they stop knocking on the door and just kick it on in.
So what happens if they win this tournament? They get promoted to the MLS? Is that how it works with this thing? If they win it, do they get a promotion like they do in European soccer?
I'm not sure what happens exactly on that. All I know now is they go into a lottery where they try to figure out, not a lottery, a draft to try to figure out where they're going to play the next game. And most likely, I think, will be against New York, and it'll be here, hopefully. Be good to get a home match for them. So I'm not sure of it, but it's a prestigious tournament within the soccer ranks. So anyway, you should come on over. You would like it. Yeah, I appreciate the effort those guys are in there for all those minutes running up and back and down. It's a lot of energy.
You have my address now, Bob, so you know where to send the invitation.
I'll do that. All right, let's get to the phone lines. We have a lot of people want to talk. Phil in the North Hills is first up. Hey, Phil, what's up?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Phil.
It's just, you watch the Pirates and you think, was, April a mirage, and this is what they really are? I mean, every game I turn on, there's a different right fielder. They keep bringing people up, putting people down.
Yeah, they use different lineups a lot, too, and they're trying to figure out something. But, I mean, Phil, if you're Derek Shelton, you're trying to find something that works at this point, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not blaming Shelton. Like Henry Davis should be up. If you're gonna lose with someone batting Austin Hedges at 133, and I don't know, it just seems like everything that they did right in April, they're doing everything wrong in May.
Phil, and Andrew, the thing is, when O'Neal Cruz first went out, they won a lot of games. Nobody was thinking much of it. Now, the longer it goes, and this was going to be the case, when you lose talent like that, it has a trickle-down effect, and I think it has right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you who, they miss Cruz, like you said, immensely. I think we're seeing that now, that he was the guy that was supposed to take a monster step, and you might not have him till August at the earliest. And I do think that it took a while, but we're starting to see the net result of his injury. I'll tell you another guy who I think is a huge player for the Pirates, and that's Sawinski, because they do not have a lot of power. So when Sawinski's hot and he's hitting the ball over the fence, you get a bat in your lineup that can change the game with one swing. They don't really have any other guy like that. Reynolds is a doubles hitter. Hayes is a singles hitter. McCutchen had a lot of power in April, but I don't think it's fair to expect him to be a 30 home run guy at 37 years old.
And neither is Santana.
Connor Joe's never been. Yeah, Santana's got what, 2 home runs, Bob?
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect more.
I mean, Santana. Yeah, Santana's played a good first base. I know that throw tonight was not a, I thought that was a fluke more than anything. But, I thought he would be more of a run producer for this team. He's had some clutch hits, but the power has not been there, and I think that's coincided with their struggles. They need to string hits together, because there's not a lot of extra base hits and power in this lineup right now.
In the last 2 weeks, G1 Bay has hit .095 too. I mean, it's you can steal all the bases you want, but you can't steal first base. You got to get on there on a more regular occasion. They haven't done a lot of things.
Remember Billy Hamilton, Bob? Remember him? He was the same exact way. Billy Hamilton with those Reds. He needed to steal first base because he couldn't hit.
The kid's got some talent, but I mean, it's long, and then these pitchers are good enough where they'll learn their mistakes the first time around, and all of a sudden it makes it more difficult. Let's go out to Joe in Verona. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, guys. Question: Do you feel that Shelton should have got that extension this early, or because every lineup changed for the last 3 years? I don't see 2 games in a row that he has the same lineup. It just gets on my nerves. So
yeah, but I don't think. Listen, they didn't have a lot of work with that all. I think he's a good fit for this team. I think he has the respect of those guys. I think he's a. I don't know how you judge the first 3 years of what he was able to do, because he didn't have much. They got a little bit with Cruz in there now this year. You saw something different now. Obviously, they're in a. But I don't have a problem with it, Andrew. Do you?
Well, I hate to break news to Joe. I like Joe. He's a loyal listener to the fan, and I hear him on this show a lot too. If you think the manager now just fills out the lineup card by himself, you got another thing coming. The front office now are so involved with their sabermetrics and their analytics printouts and their splits and their how guys do versus certain pitches and certain kind of pitchers that's now a collaborative thing. It's not Danny Murtaugh sitting down in his underwear in an office filling Roberto Clemente's name into a lineup anymore, Bob. That's not how it works. So if you want to get on the Pirates for their lineup iterations, get on the front office too. That's why they hire a guy like Derek Shelton, because they know in order for him to take the job, they're going to hire someone who wants to work with the front office so they all have a say in the matter. So that's baseball in 2023. You rarely have a lineup of 8 or 9 guys who hit well against lefties and righties who you want in the lineup every night together.
Jim, Peters Township. Go right ahead, Jim. How are you?
Great. I agree with a lot of things you guys are saying, especially what Andrew's saying about the lineups. I'm an eternal optimist, however. They played terrible tonight, no question. But that throw on second base, if you notice, the guy put his hand up on it. That's how he got in. He put his hand up, and it was a fluke. But I'll say this. Luis, he had 2 bad pitches. His stuff is electric. If you notice, the cutter was riding in, the slider, 2 bad pitches. He hung a slider, number 1, and then a lot of bad luck.
No, I think he has a lot of talent. I think we saw that at the end of last year.
The stuff was electric.
Yeah, and it's just, he came into a bad situation here tonight. Because,
it's one game.
Yeah.
And what is it, Tanner? I'll say last thing. Tanner said, I think you win third, you lose a third. They're in first place now. I noticed that Milwaukee lost.
Yeah, they're struggling. They can't hit it either.
If there are 37 games they played.
I think Jim makes a great point, Bob. It's almost like I feel like during this losing streak, we've almost taken for granted and forgotten that they're still in first place. Like if you had Rip Van Winkled your way through the first 35 games of the season, Bob, if you had slept through it and you just woke up today and you go, Lisa, what have I missed? And she said, honey, the Penguins missed the playoffs, the Steelers drafted Joey Porter, and the Pirates are in first place. You probably wouldn't believe 2 out of those 3 things, but definitely not the Pirates being in first place. It's almost like a ho-hum thing right now. Okay, they're in first place, but they're not playing well. They built up so much capital and banked so many wins in April that they've been able to survive this bad play. And I think Jim's right, too, about Ortiz. You see high-end stuff. There's material there to work with. A lot of these guys we've seen the last few years, they top out as a 5th starter. He's got the potential, I think, to be another one of these dominant pitchers if he develops correctly.
Yeah. I thought the same of Oviedo, but the last 4 outings have been different. Again, he's younger. It's going to be ups and downs, but the talent is good.
You know who he reminds me of, Bob?
Who's that?
Oviedo reminds me of Nova, where he doesn't have dominant stuff, but he's a big body and he throws that heavy sinker and he's trying to get ground balls and stuff, and those balls get put in play a lot. He's not going to strike out 8 or 9 guys in a game. So I think you have to ride the ups and downs with a pitcher like that who's not going to strike people out with dominant stuff.
Yeah. Although he has struck out 8 or 9 twice this year. When he's on, he's really on. He needs to make sure that he can be more consistent. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we're going to switch over to some hockey talk, interesting developments there, and maybe even some NBA stuff. All coming up right here on the #1 Cochran Sports. No, I'm sorry. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm getting my shows mixed up, Andrew.